Let me just try and first explain you when you talk about the interview perspective, like how do you put, how you have to put your roles and responsibilities when it comes to that. And I'll also explain you the sample project, what you need to do it. So once you keep details, in an ETL project, so basically as an ETL tester, if you start working for if you start looking for a job, so basically what are the things that they are going to test? So they will test you predominantly on the SQL, like how comfortable are you with the SQL, because if you know the SQL, then completing the ETL testing process as well as a BI testing or anything becomes easy. And they'll test you a little bit on the data warehousing basics to understand the terminology, and data modeling basically to understand the terminology like dimensions, facts, slowly changing dimensions, and all these things they will verify with respect to that. And they will completely test you on the ETL testing process. So when you say ETL testing process, whether you understand the source to target column mapping sheet, what kind of validations that you do, basically the count validation, different types of test scenarios, all those things they will verify. And along with this, they will also touch base on the BI testing. So they'll ask you like what kind of testing that you have done in the BI, and maybe if the interviewers and all, they'll also test you on the basic Unix commands, how you have used, whether you are comfortable in using a putty or WinSCP. All these are all the different things which they test you on the any ETL testing or a data warehousing testing profile. So these are all the things that you need to prepare yourself. First, make sure that you are understanding in and out of SQL and the data warehousing basics, what are the terminologies, and the ETL testing, BI, and the Unix process. So when you start or go to the project, basically the first and foremost question that you get is a project. Like they'll ask you what project you're doing, what is your current roles and responsibilities that you want to do, and all those things. So basically, when you are explaining about a project, you need to make sure that what ETL tool that you are using, you need to tell, right? And also what database that you're using, what is your source system, like whether your source system is all about whether it is an insurance or whether it is what type of data that is available in your source system. And basically the source system is nothing but what is your source database, whether it is in Oracle or a SQL server, or it is in the DB2 database, or we are pulling from the mainframe system, or from where you are pulling the data, that you need to know. And basically the target system. See, in a data warehousing project, if it is not a data integration project, so your target system will be first you load the data into staging, and from staging, if possible, we'll load the data into ODS, and from ODS we'll load the data into ETW or a data mart. So your data will, you need to understand the complete data flow, how the data is flowing, and that you need to explain. Let's say from OLTP, generally the data will go to staging, and from the staging it might go to the ODS, but not in all the projects. And from ODS, let's say it is being loaded into enterprise data warehouse or a data mart, what it is there. So as an ETL tester, you should explain that I have validated the data between a transactional system to the staging, and from staging to ODS, ODS to ETW, and everything. So this is how you need to explain, and what database it is, your target system, what target, based on your project. So what target database it is, that also you need to explain. And when you talk about the next one, basically the what kind of BI tool that is being used, and what kind of BI tool that is being used, and how, that is the overall idea. Like when you explain about the project, you should explain in and out. So let me take a sample project and I'll tell you how you have to explain about the project. So I'm going to give the sample insurance project, like how the data is moved or implemented. Let's say we have a sample project, an insurance tool. For insurance management and all, there is a tool called as a guidewire. I don't know how many of you are aware. So for managing of all the insurance things. So insurance basically will have three types of modules. One is called as a claim center for processing all the claims. and for selling all the policies, which is called as a BC for policy center, and another is called as a BC, which is like a billing center. So it has a three modules. Three modules. CC stands for a claim center, PC stands for a policy center, and BC stands for a billing center. Now, this is your transactional system. I'm just giving you the example. This is a transactional system where a data is available in the SQL Server database. So my data is available in the SQL Server database. You need to explain the architecture. Okay, basically in our project we have a complete staging data. First the data is being staged into the stage database, and this stage database is actually available in the Oracle. And let's say in this we have different staging tables like STG underscore claim and STG underscore the claimant and claimant, and you also have tables like a claim transaction. So what are all the different tables we have? For a policy we have STG underscore policy, STG underscore location. Likewise you have a different staging tables. You can explain just that we have a staging database which is created on Oracle. Informatica is used as an ETL tool, or if you are keeping any other experience as well, you can tell what ETL tool is being used. So Informatica is being used as an ETL tool to extract the data from all these guidewire tables, and then the incremental data from the OLTP system is integrated into an Oracle table. Into Oracle staging database. So these are all the different tables which is being integrated, and from this again the data is being integrated into another ODS layer, right? So another ODS layer which will capture the historical data, and the data is being loaded into the ODS layer as well. So in this again we have a separate tables for each module. So for CC we have a separate ODS tables, for a PC we have a separate ODS table, and for a BC we have a separate ODS table. So you can say for each module there are a separate ODS tables which are being designed, uh, and this will also capture the historical data, and the data will be in the appended mode. So from ODS, let's say if you want to know what are all the tables that you want, so something like a claim transaction, and you have like a ODS underscore claim, and you have like let's say ODS underscore claim location or something, claim location. So likewise we have a different set of tables in the ODS, separate tables for the claim center, separate tables for a policy center, and separate tables for a billing center. So this is where we are also maintaining the historical data, uh, which all the dimensional related table are being maintained in the history. And from this again the data is being loaded into the individual star schemas. So basically you can call it as, we have a three data marts. One is like a claim data mart, policy data mart, and the billing data mart. So that you can tell. Okay, so now this is how the data is being separated from this into the three different data marts called as a claim, policy data mart, and then this one. So according to the each subject area, the data is being divided into the three different databases, or within a single database as well, you can say. So here, so this is for claims, and this is for a policy data mart, right? So this is for a policy, and this is for a billing. So this is what it's being developed. Now here in the claims data mart we have a different set of star schemas, and here in the policy we have a different set of star schemas, and here in this we have a different set of star schemas that you can see. So in this, let's say we have a tables like accident year, so which is for performing the accident year analysis, and we also have in this we have a policy year fact table for performing all the policy related analysis, and here all the billing fact for understanding all the billing related transactions. So accident year, calendar year, so claim calendar year, claim loss, accident year. Here we have a two data marts. Here you have a policy year is one data mart, and calendar year, policy calendar year data mart. Likewise we have a different set of star schemas which are created in each individual data mart. So at every stage to move the data from the guide wire to the staging, and from staging area to ODS, from ODS to the claim data mart or a policy data mart, your Informatica tool is being used. So, and now as an ETL tester, what did I perform? I mean, like, okay, now out of these, from this claim data mart, the Tableau, or you can say the Cognos, is being used as a reporting tool. And here, let's say the Tableau is being used as a reporting tool for generating reports. So we have a different set of dashboards which are being created on the Tableau, and using which the business users are actually generating or performing the analysis about the claims, policies, and the billings. So as an ETL tester, what is your responsibilities that you performed in the current project? So that you can say that as this way. So here Informatica is an ETL tool, and all these things are developed in the Oracle database. You can say the claim data mart is an Oracle database, policy data mart is an Oracle database, billing data mart is an Oracle, ODS is an Oracle, and the staging is also in the Oracle. But your source system is in the SQL Server. From here, it is an incremental, and you can say that if you want to say about the scheduling tools, you can say scheduling tool, or you can say that Informatica itself is being used as a scheduling tool in the current project. Okay. Now, as a ETL tester, if they ask you what kind of roles and responsibilities that you have performed, or as a tester, what is your roles and responsibilities? So first thing is that you need to understand the business requirements, right? So understand the business requirements, from the BRD and from the business analyst if anybody is there. And the next one is understanding the architecture, and the data model, and the different types of components and everything, data model from the TDD, and the from TDD, I mean architecture and everything, architecture from TDD, and the data model that you can say. So understanding this. So by understanding all these technical design document and everything, so what you need to do is, as a tester, first you need to prepare the test plan, and you need to define the scope of the project, like what you're going to develop and everything. So test plan and everything, and the test strategy document if it is required. So, and the assumptions and everything which will be listed down here. And the fourth one is about the preparing the test cases. So basically, again, you can say like how the test cases have been categorized, like a smoke test cases, functional test cases, and the performance test cases, system test cases, or whatever we have discussed. Smoke, functional test cases we have written, and then the functional, and then the performance testing, and as well as a system testing. All those test cases have been prepared. So you can say that which tool is being used as a for a defect tracking. So maybe HPALM is being used as a defect tracking tool, or we used to communicate in the Excels about the defect tracking and all those things, or whatever. I mean HP Quality Center, all these things. And once it is done, I mean once the migration is done, what we do, we'll actually execute all your test cases. So test case execution and finding out the defects, right? Finding the uh, defects in the ETL as well as a BI process and everything. So you can say that I'm proficient in both performing or executing the test cases in the BI test cases as well as ETL test cases. So all these things. And also basically as a tester, you more interact with the project managers and all in sharing the test reports. I mean, how far you have executed the test cases, and how many are failed, how many are passed, closely interacting with the developers, in following up with them, fixing the defects and explaining the defects, what you have found, all these things, and sharing the test reports and all those. And generally, the testing is something that which will be implemented in multiple cycles. So you can say that test process is being implemented in the multiple cycles. So for testing the data. So once you do that, and basically you will give a sign off for a project. So this is how you can perform the different responsibilities. Basically, you can say that I'm very much proficient in writing the queries or converting the mappings into an SQL, This is what is a complete thing that we have done. So you can say that we have not used any automation tool for testing, but it just been done based on the manual testing process that is nothing but an SQL. So you can say that I'm proficient in performing the heterogeneous testing as well as a homogeneous testing. So let's say heterogeneous testing is that in order to validate the data between SQL Server and Oracle, here it is a heterogeneous testing, and staging to stage ODS. This is a homogeneous because both the cases you have a Oracle database which is being there. So this is how you need to explain the project. And you can also say that we have used a putty and WinSCP for executing or verifying the commands and everything. And along with this, a BI testing, how you have done all those details also you can explain within the project. So when you're explaining about the project architecture plays an important role, and what tool you have used and all those things, if you're able to explain, that will give you. And in this project, basically in case of a Tableau, you can say that we have some 4 or 5 dashboards for a claims and 2 dashboards for a policy, and for a billing we have 1 dashboard. So all these dashboards are being tested, and if they ask you what is the team size, you can say that 4 or 5 because it's a big project. Big project. And you can also explain like what kind of SDLC lifecycle is being used. More of a agile methodology will be used in this, but you can even say that in this project we had a waterfall or something, whatever the SDLC lifecycle that you have, you can explain that. And you should also, they'll ask you like whom do you use to interact for the requirements, or how do you use to maintain the defects and everything, that you can say that we used to use a tool and then interact with the developers and everything. And I used to involve in the calls to explain, about the test status and the execution and all. So this is how you will explain about the current project roles and responsibilities. So once you complete about this, then they will step into the technical things. So this is how you should explain a project. And let me we'll get back to the interview question. So before that, if you have any questions on the project explanation, so just let me know. I can try and answer them, and then we'll move on to the interview questions. Right.
Karthik, this is a hello. Are you able to hear me, Karthik?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. This is a normal project, right? Uh, can you tell me more about this migration project? Is this the same process or anything else
Okay.
are there for the QA's responsibilities?
So the migration projects is mainly to verify, So migration project is something, let's say, you have a Siebel CRM, which is being used as a transactional system. Here you have different tables like S contact, S underscore lead, S underscore maybe address. So all these kind of a different tables. Now you're moving the data from Siebel CRM to, let's say, SAP CRM or a Salesforce.com, which is like a cloud one. And here your ETL tool is being used as a migration tool for migrating the data. So here basically what you need to do check in case of a migration projects is that the data or the number of records here as well available in the S contact is directly matching with your salesforce.com or not. Let's say in your salesforce.com there is an object or a table object which will store the data directly in the contact table. Now the data from the S contact table is being loaded to the contact table in the salesforce.com. For that, they have used an ETL tool and to move the data. Now, I need to validate the data between this and this. There is no concept here as such, dimension table, fact table, and all those things. And there is no concept of scheduling as well, because it is going to be a one-time activity. Data migration project is like a one-time activity. Once you migrate entire data from this system to this, and you're going to decommission this system and then start using a salesforce.com. So it's like a one-time process that you do. There is no concept of scheduling in the data migration project. It's that there is no concept of BI as well. You'll not have a BI. So unless that is a BI migration project. Okay, so you'll not have a BI. It's all that we will validate the data between your source table in the CRM, Siebel CRM versus the table which is there in the salesforce.com. So here also, when they are migrating, they should do the analysis which table in the CRM should be loaded to which table in the salesforce.com, and which address table in this should be loaded to which table. So basically, by understanding the column mapping between this and this, we will validate the data. Again, it is with respect to the minus query validation kind of a thing. I mean, since it is a heterogeneous, basically we are going to do the file to file comparison and the count validation. Let's say, are there any records which are missing from CRM system to this, whether everything is being captured, each and everything we are going to verify. This is a kind of a migration project or a migration project. Right, so any questions on this? Are you good? All right. So there is a chance of, the data integration projects as well. I mean, you may work in a project where uh, data integration, I mean, like, let's say, to load the data into the salesforce.com itself, they are receiving a data in the form of a files or in the form of an XML files, and they're using Informatica or an any ETL tool to load the data into a salesforce.com. So this is a data integration project where you're integrating a data from different type of sources into your transactional system. In this also, will more or less will do the similar kind of a testing, but here you're reading the data from flat files and validating the data. So even if you are hired as a tester in this kind of a data integration project, we do the similar kind of validations and then verify that it is not actually causing a duplicates in your transactional system and all those. So in case of a data migration and the data integration projects, you don't have a concept of dimensions, you don't have a concept of scheduling unless it is a daily activity. Okay, so data migration definitely will not have a scheduling and all. But in case of a data integration project, if it is a daily task which happens, then even these jobs are going to be scheduled either in Informatica or an ETL tool or some other tool, right? So this is about another set. So here, what I explained to you is about the data warehouse projects. In case of a data migration and data integration, will not have a reporting. Okay, no reporting concept. Right. So any other questions on the project?
What are all the issues most frequently faced when migration happens, Karthik?
Okay.
Data
So when
integrity issues or
Yeah, data integrity issues might happen if you're loading a parent table. I mean, if you're loading a child table first and the parent table, but also the data truncation. Let's say in the contact, I have a name something called as a Karthik, and when it is being loaded because of my mapping, it is being loaded as something like this. So that is one issue. And the data type conversion issues. I mean, let's say I have a date which is being represented or in this format in my Siebel CRM, and when it is being loaded, it's being loaded in some other format. Let's say instead of 01 Jan, let's say 01 December, it is being loaded as 12 Jan, something like this. So because of the conversion which is being loaded in a different format, that is one issue in case of a data migration, or records might have been rejected. Let's say in the S contact table we have some around 10 million records, but when it is loaded into your contact, it is being some of the records have been rejected because of the data type issues and all. So that also another issue what you find. And most of the cases there might be a I mean, some validations which were supposed to filter the existing record from the CRM, but that record is being added to Salesforce.com, something like that. So this is two type of issues what generally we see in case of migration projects. But about the duplicates and all, maybe very less. But if you are loading the data into contact table from the multiple jobs or a multiple ETLs, it might cause the duplicates again. So It depends kind of validations what they've been set up in the ETL. In general, you'll come across that. Right. So if you're good, let's move on to the next one. That is, okay. One of the interview question asked was, what are the fact table entries of the EDW and the data mart? Okay, fact table entries. Okay, this is the question. Okay, let me just take that and then I'll try to answer this one by one. Okay, what is the fact table entries of a EDW or a data mart? See, in general, in the EDW, we might have a daily level transaction tables, and in a data mart, you might have aggregated things. So, what is the case is that, let's say in my fact table, I have a customer ID and I have a product ID and I have a order date, and let's say I have a price and the quantity. So price and the quantity what we have. So basically this is a detail level transaction table which we might maintain in the EDW. In case of a data mart, we might have an aggregate tables as well, which is being built. So this is just that customer ID is 100. Let's say the product P1, order date is 1st Jan 2015. The price is, let's say, 100 and the quantity is 2. So likewise, you'll have for each and every day, you'll have one entry. So I'm just trying to tell you, in case of a EDW, we might have a detailed transaction table, but when we go to the mart, we might see the aggregated tables. But there is no hard and force rule that you should have the uh, all the aggregated tables in the data marts, or you should have only the transactional tables in the EDW. So this is, let's say, EDW entry, and when it goes to the this one, let's say in the data mart, I want to store at the month level. So the customer ID, let's say the product. So I'm just trying to give you product ID, and you have order. Instead of a order, I have a month, and this is a total price or whatever, and the quantity. So this is what I want to store. So what do you do now? 100, it's an aggregated data, P1. For an entire month, it is going to be the, let's say, Jan 2015, which I call it as 2015-01. Price is going to be, let's say, 5 or 4 items, 400, and it is going to be 8. This is how it is stored. So you can say that, but it is just that maybe the interviewer just wanted to understand how, whether you have seen the EDW entries and the data mart entries or not. That's it. So there is no definite rule that you should define a transactional, detail level tables and here aggregate tables. You might see both of them in the EDW and the data mart as well. Right. Right. So I'm just moving on to the next one about your interview questions, what generally we see. So let's try to make this as a more interactive one. So I want you guys to participate so that we can go ahead and then discuss all these, okay, one by one. So, so the first one is about the data warehousing. I hope, okay, who can answer this? What is data warehouse? Uh, if somebody asks you like, what is a data warehouse? So what is your answer? Okay. All right, so this is basically the list of questions that you actually see in interviews. Like they generally ask you to explain about the project and what is the test process that you have done for your project. What is different between a join and a self-join? At least this one. Who can answer this? What is difference between a join and a self-join?
Join is self join is with the same table itself, Karthik, irrespective of join between two tables. So it's
What is
usually the
join
common
means?
example. Joining of two different tables, so different columns from two different tables can be joined together.
Okay.
Then
So it's
self join.
about when you say that it's an inner join and the self join or not, that we can see. But with this question, what I understand is uh, between a join and a self join, self join is one of the join that I can say. I mean, in looking at this question, under a joins we'll have different things like inner join, outer join, like that. Under that, this one of the difference. So, what is the difference between a varchar and varchar two? You have different
Var
data types, right? Varchar and varchar2. What is the difference?
Varchar it has a fixed length, and Varchar2
Yeah, it's like a variable,
will
right?
allocate based on the how much characters are given to that.
Yes. So when you define anything, let's say varchar of 100 for a particular column, if I'm giving it as 100, it will your database will allocate 100 bytes of memory for it. Even though you are storing some 60 characters, it will use 100 bytes of memory. When you say varchar 2 of 100, and if you are storing only 60 characters, it will use only 60 bytes of memory, not the 100 bytes of memory. That is the difference. So it's a fixed length and then this one. What is the difference between a dimension and a fact? Uh, Dimension holds the what type of data?
Measurable columns
Okay, dimension.
and fact. A fact holds the measurable columns, and dimension holds the
Character data or
character data.
descriptive
Yeah.
data, right? So what is a data mart? What is a data mart?
It's a subset of data warehousing, like
Subset of, yeah.
Yes, very good. Yeah, it's a subset of the data warehouse. Okay. Subset of data warehouse which is defined for a specific subject area is called as a data mart. How do you find the latest entry in the table?
a group by with the timestamp, latest timestamp kind of stuff.
No, you don't need to use a group by.
Row ID.
No,
Oh,
latest entry. How do you identify? Let's say you have a created date and last updated date. How do you identify that?
The last updated date is compared with the present date,
No, you can
or
just
the
order the date, right? So yeah,
yeah, max of
you can just order it and then find out the latest entry. That is just to display. But if you just want to pick up the latest record, you have to fetch the maximum value of last updated date is equal to your last updated date column. That's how we can determine. So how do you display the maximum average salary from each department? What is the query for this? Maximum
Maximum of
average salary from each department.
you have to use minimum of a maximum of max of function.
Yes. So how do you do that? It's a very simple thing. So first, when you say that select average of salary, what will happen? From employees
Table name.
group by department ID. So what does it gives you? It will give you the average salary with respect to the each department. So if I apply max function on top of it, that will give you the maximum average salary of each department. I mean, out of all the departments. Sorry, it gives you the max of average salary from all the departments. The question is wrong. It will give you only one value. So if your employee table is like this: employee number, employee name, location, 1A Hyderabad and 2G Bangalore, and I just want to display like 1A Bangalore and 2G Hyderabad. I don't know what is this. Okay, so if you want to display like this, how do you do that? I don't know how this works. Okay, 1A and then it has come as a Bangalore here and then 2G. How? I don't know
swap, swapping of locations. I don't know. Like
how this works. I'm not very sure. Okay. Let's go for this one. A, B are the two tables. I have 10 columns and 0 columns. Whenever I write a query, select star from A comma B. I have a 0 columns, 10 columns and I have a 0 columns. So Zero columns, how it is possible in a table? What nonsense is this? Whenever I write a query, select star from A comma B. Okay, it might be 10 here. So how many columns it will return? Basically 20 columns it will return when you say select star from A comma B. But if it is about the row, I hope you know like how does a Cartesian join works. Okay. So my table has a name student ID, maths, physics, chemistry and Telugu. I want to find out the highest marks for each student. So out of this, yeah, this is interesting. Okay. So how do you identify I just want to display only the highest marks out of these. So how do you do that?
Average function. We can use average function, right?
No, it has to find out the column. I mean, your average function will perform on the column, but it has to perform across the columns. Okay, this is basically that you have to convert these columns into rows and then you have to apply that. So for converting to the columns, either you can use pivot or unpivot, or then you can fetch the complete list of columns. Otherwise, it will not work. That okay. So how you need to do is you need to get the data something like this. Okay, 125, 152, 1 uh, basically the 32 and 1 you have a 44. So once you get the data, just group the data based on the student ID and get the maximum value out of it. So then only you can get that. Otherwise, you cannot use a max directly and that will not work. So this data has to be converted from column to rows by using unpivot or pivot or whatever. So, and then on top of that, you need to apply the max function. So in my schema, 100 tables are there. Some of them have the same column names here, and I want to display how many tables have the same column names. So how do you do that? And anybody tell this? In my schema, I have 100 tables. Some of the tables have the same column name, and I want to display the tables which have the same column name. Tables which have the same column name. So it has to be, you have to make use of the complete list of data dictionaries for this. There is a data dictionary which can be used, something called as a user underscore columns. In this, you can identify the tables. I mean, you can identify the tables and the respective columns. So basically, you need to check. You need to use a subquery to do that for it. So let's say select star from user underscore columns. Let's say this is your outer query, and where you need to use a exists and write the condition as select one or anything from. Let's say again use the user underscore columns, and this is like a I, and you need to join the outer query and the inner query based on the table name. So based on the table name is really required, or you can just uh, not based on the table name, but yeah, where o dot table name is not equal to I dot table name. That should work. Yeah. So basically, this will give you the not for the same table. If it is for any other different table, if it is there, you can just use a not equal to condition. But you just have to try. I'm not really sure. I think this should work. And if you exclude the same table name, it should work. Priority and severity, I think you'll be knowing. What is a fact table and what are the different fact tables in your project? That depends upon the data model which you are using. And how to update all the columns at a time. And you just have to use each and every individual column name in that. You don't have any other thing. And what is the difference between a primary key, foreign key and a unique key? I think you guys know this. So primary key will not have a null values and unique key can have a null values. Foreign key is to express the relationship between two tables. And the next one is about the SED type 1, type 2, type 3. So type 1 will store the most recent data, type 2 history, type 3 partial history. Display the fifth highest salary. I think you can use a rank function and then identify it for finding out the fifth highest salary without using a subquery. Display the which department is having a more than 3 employees. I think this is very simple. Group the data based on the department ID having count of star greater than 3. Bug life cycle, I think you know, defect life cycle, whatever it is. And delete, truncate and drop. So delete can be rolled back, truncate cannot be rolled back. But in both the cases, we'll have a structure will remain in the database. But in case of a drop, structure and the data, everything will be written. And explain the test plan. You have a document which you can go through. And union all, basically union will eliminate the duplicate records. Union all will not eliminate the duplicate records. Okay, so and this is about another one. So how to identify how to find the files in a directory or a subdirectory with the first 5 letters. Basically, I just shown you now using a ls command. So just use a ls command. Out of that, you just use a grep command. You'll get that. How to know what processes are running in a Unix? Yeah, I just didn't tell about this. So it is nothing but your ps minus aef is a command to find out the processes which are running in a Unix. Types of schemas in a data warehousing. It's like a star schema, snowflake schema and all. How to kill the process in Unix? It is like you can, if you know the PID, that is a process ID, you can give kill -9 and then the process ID, whatever the process ID. How to see the hidden files in a Unix? So I just didn't tell you this. To know the hidden files in Unix, you need to use ls-a. That you can tell you. How to know how many members are logged into system in Unix command? I don't know. I think tty is a command to know all the terminals which are being logged in. But I think if you see that whether I have shared the document or not, I'm not very sure. Okay. I think tty or the different list of users which you can use. Okay. So OLTP, OLAP difference, I think you know what is data warehousing. Background and foreground processes. BG is for a background process, foreground is for a FG. Foreground processes. I mean, it's like if it which is working on that is background processes. In my table, I have 100 rows there. I want to display the rows from 3 to 7. Can anybody answer this? How to display the records from 3 to 7 rows only? How can I do that? 3 to 7 rows. So it's basically the concept of row number has to be used. Okay. So this will work. So what you need to do is, let's say select row num, comma last name, and this one row num you can call it as a r num. From the, you can try this, it will definitely work. So from employees, and let's say if you have 100 records and you want to display this, you need to use an inline view. So select from whatever, either you use a star or whatever, it doesn't matter, where r num row number is between 3 and 7. Okay, so this will give you the complete list of records. How to display the duplicate records? By using a group statement. Deleting a duplicate records, I think I've shown you using SQL, using a row ID, that we can do that. Display the employee name and his manager name. You can use a self join for this and then you can find out. Display each department total employees, group by count star. Group by department ID count star will give you that. To-char function, what it does, it converts the character, date to a character and a number to a character. Truncate function, it is used to remove the decimals, and it can also be used against the dates to remove the, for truncating with respect to the month and a year. NVL, it will convert a null value to a predefined value. Operator precedence in SQL, like it's like multiplication first, division, addition and the subtraction. What are the clauses in SQL? It's like a from clause, where clause, group by clause, having clause, order by clause, whatever. And traceability metrics, I think this you guys know, traceability metrics, testing life cycle, ETL test process, retesting and regression testing, we have checked. Display the maximum salary. To display who was joined in the last month, like how do you find out who was joined in the last month? Okay, can somebody tell me this? Like how to get the, I want to find out how many employees have joined in the last month. You don't know what is it this month, but you need to get that. So how do you use it? Okay, so this you can try. Okay, basically there is a command, right? So which will give you the I want to find out the first day of the month. So how do you identify the first day of the month? So if you say truncate of system date, what it will do? I think I have to try this query. So when you say truncate of system date with respect to the month, by default always it will give you the first day of the month. Okay, and if you say -1, and this will give you the last month date. Okay, and then use a toChar function on top of this and get, if you use that will give you the complete month value, whatever it is there. Or if you use MON also, it can be get. Anyway, I'll just show you how it can be. So truncate of sysdate it will give you the first day of the month, and -1 will take you to the last month, and out of that you can try and use this one. Okay, so this is the way that you can use validation and verification, retesting, DDL, DML, software development lifecycle, and testing lifecycle. Okay, so I think this we are good. How to maintain the history, priority, and nth highest salary. This you can use. Deleting and displaying the duplicate records. How to display even number and odd numbers by using a modulo division function. And particular records display query, that is nothing but using your row number. Display the last record also you can do. Concatenate two columns. How to retrieve all the rows except the last row. Oh my god. So probably you can use a minus for this. I mean, retrieve all the rows in one query and retrieve only the last row and then do the minus. You'll get it. Only the distinct values that you can do, department wise, highest salary. Count the number of columns in a query. How do you do this? It's very interesting. How do you count the number of columns? Anybody can tell this? What is the number of columns in a query? Count the number of columns in a query. It's again you might have to use a case statement. Okay, so for each and every column replace each column with one value and then do the sum. Sum of column 1 plus column 2 plus column 3, something like that. So you just have to use a case statement, and that is one way that I can think, but I'm not very sure. I mean, if you are using a pivot, again it is easy. So just convert all the columns into rows. I mean, you just have to, I don't think you really need it. You just have to mark for each and every column 1, 1, 1 and then do the sum. That's it. It's like what I'm saying is, let's say you have to find out select case when 1 is equal to 1, then 1, something like this. I mean, column name. So you know the column name, right? So whatever the column value that you have, so you can give something like this. Column 1 is equal to column 1, then 1, else 0, something like this. Okay, then end. So obviously this will give me 1. Okay, and then you have to do the same thing for all the plus, 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 plus. So that's how you can do. If the table is having only one row, this makes sense. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to count the number of columns. But number of columns in a query you have to count. But if it is number of columns in a table, then it is easy. User underscore tables. There is one thing which you have, and from the user underscore columns, you can always determine and then define that. So that way you can determine. So with that, I think we are done with all the things. So this is already there as part of your ETL testing folder, whatever I mean ETL testing materials which you have given. So in case if you have any issue also in the future, you can just get back to me. I mean give back to us. We'll try and help you out. All right. So I have a question here. Hopefully last one. Let's see. This one is about if you don't have any documents for a project, that is it's a legacy system as a QA, what is your approach? I mean, if you do not have a documentation, it becomes more like a white box testing where you have to log in and understand the code and test it. Okay, that's only the way. So the approach is that you need to understand the system, what it is there, and go and open the tools, what kind of ETLs that have been developed, understand them and try to write. So this is complete things from my end. If you have any other questions quickly, probably you can go ahead and I'll try and answer them, and then we can wind up this course if you do not have any. Right, so it's been almost 6 or 7 weeks we had the classes. So for now I'm closing the meeting. I hope you enjoy the classes. So